Hello everyone and welcome back to study room. I hope you all are doing great. So today we'll be studying Newton's second law of motion. So let's get started. Day-to-day encounters of acceleration and force applied. Before we study Newton's second law of motion, let's take some examples of force and acceleration, right? During the game of table tennis, if the ball hits a player, it does not hurt him. On the other hand, when a fast-moving cricket ball hits a spectator, it may hurt him. Do you wonder why this happens? A truck at rest does not require any attention when parked along a roadside. But a moving truck, even at speeds as low as 5 meters per second, may kill a person standing in its path. Yeah, a small mass such as a bullet may kill a person when fired from a gun. So why all this happens? Why? Have you ever wondered? If not, so let's wonder together. Let's explore together. Okay. So you know from Newton's second law of motion that force is equals to mass into acceleration, right? What is momentum? Basically, observation suggests that the impact produced by the object depends on two things. Okay, one is mass and one is velocity. For example, that small bullet could kill a person, right, because of its high velocity. Even when your mass is very small, your velocity is very high, right, and you can see the impact. That ball, a fast moving ball, can hit the player, right? Why? Because of its high velocity. So we are seeing that that your impact of anything depends on two things. One is your mass, one is your velocity. If you have a large mass, then also your impact is great. If you have greater velocity change, then also your impact is large, right? So we will now study a new term whose name is momentum. Okay, so momentum. It deals with impact because we wanted to study about the impact which some action is causing. So we study about momentum. So we know that impact mainly depends on two things, mass and your velocity. So what did we do? We defined momentum as the product of mass and velocity. Isn't that interesting? Product of mass and velocity. Okay. So we define momentum and we with the unit P. Okay. We define it with P. So P denotes momentum. Cool. So P is equals to m into V, where m is your mass and V is your velocity. Also we have studied that velocity is a vector quantity, right? Velocity has both magnitude as well as direction. It's like important to know the direction of the motion for velocity, right? And since momentum is the product of mass and velocity, that means it has velocity component. So it means that momentum has both direction and magnitude. So what does that mean? Momentum is also a vector quantity, okay? So its direction is same as that of velocity v. SI unit of momentum is kg meter per second. So let's quickly derive the SI unit of momentum. Okay. We define momentum P is equals to mass into velocity, right? And what is your SI unit of mass? It's kg. What is your SI unit of velocity? It is meter per second. So simply, what is your momentum? Momentum is nothing but kg meter per second. This is your SI unit for momentum, okay? Since the application of an unbalanced force brings a change in the velocity of an object, it is therefore clear that a force also produces a change in momentum, okay? Since acceleration comes into picture because change in velocity comes into picture and force is your mass into acceleration, that means that force also produces a change in momentum. So let's study about the rate of change of momentum. A car with a dead battery is to be pushed along a straight road to give it a speed of 1 meter per second, which is sufficient to start its engine. If one or two persons give a sudden push, remember unbalanced force. What are unbalanced forces? Forces which are unequal in amount, right? Unequal. It hardly starts, but a continuous push over some time results in a gradual acceleration of the car to the speed. Okay. It means that the change of momentum of the car is not only determined by the magnitude of force but also by the time during which the force is exerted. See, they both are, pushing the car. Do you remember that block case which we discussed in the previous part? That firstly you wanted to push that block. It wasn't moving. Then you applied more force to it. Then, your force equated with frictional force. And when your force became greater than frictional force, then finally your block moved. Similarly, in this case, you are applying force to your car. Firstly, your car is not moving because your frictional force is greater. Then it becomes equal to the frictional force, your balance force comes into picture, and then finally when your force becomes larger than the frictional force, then it moves, right? So you can see that, it is also depending on the time. For example, you are keep on pushing, you keep on applying force, and there comes a time when the movement occurs. So what does that mean? That time is also a factor. Okay, time. Okay, so time is also a factor. So let's study the statement of Newton's second law of motion. The second law of motion states that the rate of change of momentum of an object is proportional to the applied unbalanced force in the direction of force. So what is your rate of change of momentum? What is your momentum? Mass into velocity, right? So for example, your initial momentum is mu, when your initial velocity is u. After some time, your velocity is v. So your final momentum becomes mv, correct? So what is your change in momentum? What is your change in momentum? Your change in momentum is mv, my final momentum minus initial momentum, mv minus mu. And what is your rate of change of momentum? Upon time, right? This is your rate of change of momentum. So the statement says that rate of change of momentum is proportional to the applied force. It is proportional to F, okay? So F is proportional to m. Can we take m common from both? V minus u by t, okay? Force is proportional to m into v minus u by t. This is what the Newton's second law of motion says. And what was your first law? It was about inertia, correct, right? A body tends to remain at rest if it is in rest and tends to be in motion if it is in motion. That was your first law. And your second law is about rate of change of momentum, okay? Okay, one second. Yeah, so you can see if we talk about this elephant, so elephant has a large mass and a very small acceleration. And your football, it has smaller mass and it has larger acceleration. What does that mean? Both have big momentum, like large momentum, right? It has large momentum because of larger mass. It has large momentum because of larger acceleration, okay? And momentum has impact, right? Momentum gives you the impact. So, same thing which I just shared in the previous slide, which I just explained, right? Rate of change of momentum is proportional to m into v minus u by t. Force is proportional to its rate of change of momentum is m into v minus u by 2 and t, and force is proportional to m into v minus u by t. This is what your second law of motion say, that rate of change of momentum is proportional to the directly proportional to the force applied, okay? So force is proportional to m into v minus u by t. So force is equal to, we can bring some constant to equate, right? Because force is proportional to m into v minus u by t, right? Rate of change of momentum. Force is equals to k into m into v minus u by t. So, and what is your v minus u by t? We have studied this in first equation of motion. What does it say? First equation of motion gave us v is equals to u plus at. What does that mean? That your a is equals to v minus u by t. So, can you replace it by a? Yes, because v minus u by t is your a. So force is equals to K into ma. Okay. So here A is equals to V minus U by T, right? Rate of change of velocity. SI unit of mass and acceleration are kg and meter per second square. Okay. So now your K is equal to 1. K is put such that so force becomes m into A. Okay. So this is 1 unit of force is defined as the amount that produces an acceleration of 1 meter per second square in an object of 1 kg mass. This is your 1 unit of force, right? Force is equals to 1 Newton, for example, right? So what does that mean? That 1 kg force and 1 meter per second square acceleration is applied, because force is mass into acceleration, correct? So unit of force is kg meter per second square or Newton. Okay. So, you know, K is chosen such that the value becomes 1. Force equals to m into A. So, unit, let's derive the unit of the force. Okay. We know SI unit of mass is kgs and SI unit of acceleration is meter per second square. So, it becomes kg meter per second square. But your force is given by Sir Newton. So, that's why we gave one more unit to force, that is Newton. We say that Newton is the SI unit of force. Okay. So, let's see some illustrations of second law of motion. What was your second law of motion? Force is proportional to rate of change of momentum. Okay. Have you ever wondered, like while catching a fast moving cricket ball, a fielder in the ground gradually pulls his hand backwards with the moving ball? Do you know why the catcher pulls his hands backwards? You know, you see that a catcher, you know, he pulls his hands backwards to increase time, because we know, you know, if he will increase time, then the velocity will decrease. If velocity will decrease, then your momentum will decrease, because momentum is mass into velocity, and so impact will be lesser. Okay, that's why the fielder, he brings his hand backwards to lessen the impact. But if the fielder doesn't do this, and you know, he doesn't increase the time, then what will happen? There will be severe, you know, severe impact on his hand, and it can also cause injury. Okay. So when he brings his hands backwards, the acceleration of the ball is decreased, right? Time increases and velocity decreases, so acceleration decreases, and therefore the impact of catching the fast moving ball is also reduced. Okay. If the ball is stopped suddenly, for example, if the fielder doesn't bring his hand backwards, then what will happen? And he tries to, you know, stop the ball suddenly, then what will happen? It will be like there will be a very high velocity. If velocity is more, what will be more? Your momentum will be more, right? Because momentum is nothing but mass into velocity, and if momentum will be more, what will be more? Your impact will be more, right? So what will happen? It may hurt the palm of the fielder. So let's see one more illustration. In a high jump athletic event, the athletes are made to fall either on the cushion bed or on sand bed. This is to increase the time of the athlete's fall. If time will be increased, what will increase? Velocity will decrease. And if velocity will decrease, momentum will decrease. And if momentum will decrease, your impact will also decrease. So, you know, everything is so much planned, right? So, to decrease the rate of change of momentum and hence the force, this is done. Okay. So, let's derive second law of motion from first law of motion. What was your first law of motion? The first law of motion can be mathematically stated from the mathematical expression for the second law of motion. We know force is equals to mass into acceleration, and also force is equals to mass, rate of change of momentum, right? M into V minus U by T, because V is equals to U plus AT, which implies A is equals to V minus U by T. So force is equals to mass into change in velocity, right? So we can bring T to the left hand side, so Ft becomes M into V minus U. That is when force is equals to 0, V is equals to U. If no external force is applied, okay. if no external force is applied, then your m into v minus u becomes 0, right? Because F is becomes 0, then what will happen? Mv minus mu is equals to 0, which implies mv is equals to mu, which implies v is equals to u. So this says that if no external force is applied, then your initial velocity and your final velocity are same, okay? And the object will continue moving with uniform velocity throughout the time t. If u is 0, then v will also be 0. If your initial velocity is 0, your final velocity will also be 0. When no external force is applied. Okay. So let's quickly do this example. A constant force acts on an object of mass 5 kg. Your mass is 5 kg. For a duration of 2 seconds. Your time is 2 seconds. It increases the object's velocity from 3 meter per second to 7 meter per second. Your u is 3 meter per second and your final velocity is 7 meter per second. Find the magnitude of applied force. We know force is equals to mass into acceleration. What is your mass? 5. What is your acceleration? Acceleration is nothing but v minus u by t. From first equation of motion we know v is equals to u plus at, correct? So we will just apply 5 into, what is v minus u? Okay, v is 7 meter per second, u is 3 meter per second upon 2, right? 5 into 4 by 2, that is your 10 newtons, right? Don't forget to, write the SI unit. So this is your magnitude of applied force. Now if the force was applied for a duration of 5 seconds, what would be the final velocity? So now in the second part, the question is saying that if force was applied, if t is equals to 5 seconds, then what will be v? Okay, this is what the second part is asking. So let's do this quickly, okay? I hope everything is clear. You just need to plug in the values in your formula, right? Force is equals to m into a is equals to v minus u by t, correct? Just have to plug in the values. Everything is given, one unknown and all other things are given. So we just found out in the first part that a force is equals to 10 Newton, right? Our initial velocity is how much? 3 meter per second in the second part. And final velocity we need to find out. T is equals to 5 seconds. Again, same, force is equals to rate of change of momentum, right? M into v minus u by t, right? Is equals to, what is your mass? 5. V minus u. V we need to find out. U is 3 by t. How much t? 5 seconds. And how much is the force? 10 newtons. So which implies 50. 10 into 5, right? 50 is equals to 5v minus 15. Which implies 65 by 5 is equals to v. So your final velocity is 13 meter per second. Okay. You just need to remember this formula and put in all the values. Everything is given. I know it's very easy, okay? Let's do one more question. Which would require a greater force, accelerating a 2 kg mass at 5 meter per second square or a 4 kg mass at 2 meter per second square? So we know force is equals to mass into acceleration. In your first case, you have mass is equals to 2 kg. And acceleration is equals to 5 meter per second square. What will be your force? It's nothing but m into a, right? So it is your 10 newtons, right? In second case, you have 4 kg mass and your acceleration is 2 meter per second square. What will be your force? Again, mass into acceleration, 4 into 2, that is 8 newtons. Which will have greater force? The part 1 will have greater force. When 2 kg mass at 5 meter per second square will have greater force, right? And by how much it is greater? By 2 newtons, right? Let's do one more question. A motor car is moving with the velocity of 108 km per hour. So, your velocity of initial velocity is 108 kilometers per hour. Let's quickly convert it into meter per second. I have told you how to do so, into 5 by 18, correct? So it is a 30 meter per second and it takes 4 seconds to stop. If the motor car is stopping, what does that mean? Your final velocity is 0 and it takes 4 seconds to stop. Your time is how much? 4 seconds. Calculate the force exerted by the brakes on the motor car if its mass along with the passenger is 1000 kg. Your mass is 1000 kgs. Okay, so force exerted. We know how much force has to be exerted. Force is equals to mass into acceleration is equals to mass into change in velocity upon time taken, right? Is equals to, what is your mass? 1000 into V minus U. What is your V? 0 minus, what is your U? 30 meter per second upon 4. Okay, so how much is this? 1000 into minus 30 by 4. 4 2s are 8, 4 5s are 20. It is your minus 7500 newtons. Okay, this is your force applied. And 4. A force of 5 Newton gives a mass m1 and acceleration of 10 meter per second square. Okay, so your force is 5 Newtons and it is saying that, and we know force is equals to mass into acceleration. It is saying that for any mass, for some mass m1, your acceleration is 10. Okay, 10 meter per second square. So 5 is equals to m1 into 10, right? So what is your m1 is equals to 5 by 10 is equals to 0.5 kgs. Okay, similarly mass m2, it gives an acceleration of 20 meter per second square. Again your force is 5 Newton only. So your 5 Newton is equals to m2 into 20. What is your mass 2? m2 is equals to 5 by 20 is equals to 1 by 4 is equals to 0.25 kgs. Okay, so we know m1 and we know m2 now. So if, what will be the acceleration if both the masses were tied together? So if both the masses were tied together, your total mass becomes m1 plus m2, 0.5 plus 0.25, this is your 0.75 kgs, correct? And we need to find the acceleration, right? We need to find the acceleration. So what will be acceleration? Acceleration is nothing but force by mass, right? So acceleration will be, what is how much is your force? 5, and how much is your total mass? 0.75. This comes out to be nearly equal to 6.67 meter per second square. Okay, let's do one more example. The velocity time graph of a ball of mass 20 kg moving along a straight line on a table is given. How much force does the table exert on the ball to bring it to rest? Okay, so you need to bring the ball to rest. Okay, so let's interpret with this graph. At your time is equals to 0 seconds, your velocity is 20 centimeter per second. Okay, so your initial velocity is 20 centimeter per second. Remember, it's in centimeter per second. And after 10 seconds, your final velocity is how much? 10 centimeter per second. Okay, what are we supposed to find? And we are given that mass is equals to 20 grams. What are we supposed to find? Force, right? Force is nothing but mass into acceleration. It is nothing but m into v minus u by t, right? We just have to plug in the values. But do, be careful, it's given in grams. We need to convert it into kgs. How much is 20 grams? It is 0.02 kgs, correct. Okay, 0.02 kgs. I'll write here. Okay. Okay, so we'll just plug in the values and we'll get the answer. Okay, so we'll just put the values and we'll get our force as minus 0.0004 newtons, and our negative sign will imply that, let's calculate. Okay, so this is your how much? 0.02 kgs. What is your v minus u? It's 10 minus 20. Of course, it has to be negative, right? Upon 10. Okay, so let's calculate this. Oh, one second. One second. It's 0 minus 20, right? Because at your 10 seconds, after 10 seconds, your velocity becomes 0, right? So it's 0 meter per second. So 0 minus 20 by 10. Okay. 0.02 into 0. What is 0 minus 20? Minus 20 by 10, right? So it is minus 0.04, right? Minus 0.004 because newtons, because your velocity is in centimeter per second. Okay, so 20 centimeter per second is how much meter per second? 0.2 meter per second. Okay. So we'll just put here and we'll get the answer as minus 0.004 newtons. And what does this negative sign indicates? That your frictional force is in opposite direction. Okay, thank you so much. We'll meet in the next video with Newton's third law of motion. Till then, do revise, and if you have any doubts, feel free to ask. Bye-bye.